Back to politics now. And the coalition is reportedly split on whether to support Labor's overhauled Stage 3 tax cuts in Parliament, as internal sources have suggested to The Australian. Joining us live now, National Senator Matt Canavan. Matt, good to see you. Thanks for your time. So as for your stance, will you support the changes to the Stage 3 tax cuts?
Let's wait and see, I think, Peter. They've only been announced last week. I don't support the government's change and broken promises on tax cuts. I think it's very important to note that it's not really a tax cut, which was announced last week. Their own papers, the government's own papers, show that these tax changes will raise $28 billion extra from Australians over the next 10 years. And that's because they reinsert the 37% tax bracket that'll push more Australians up into a higher marginal tax rate as inflation does its evil work. It's like a cobra being twisted around you, squeezing the life out of you, this bracket creep, and that's what the Labor Party are putting in place. So I'm not enthusiastic to vote for higher taxes. I want to lower taxes, and that's what the Coalition's plan originally did. And what I would love to see is that we do have a plan to go forward with the promised tax cuts that we had in place to flatten out the tax system, make sure most middle-class Australians face a marginal tax rate of no more than about 30 cents on the dollar. That should be our aim, because 30 cents on the dollar for someone on average or just above average income is just far too high. It's too punishing for the extra effort and aspiration that we should encourage from them.
Yeah, you know you're going to get smashed by Labor if you don't support these changes, though. Do you think ultimately you'll come around?
No, look, as I say, look. What the problem we've got here is that this is a tax cut.
Sounds like you will.
A tax reduction for the next couple of years, and then it's a tax increase after that. So, I mean, I don't really want to vote for that. I want a plan to lower taxes over time. So let's see what amendments that we can craft and put forward. And I'm not going to make a final decision on where we vote until we see where Labor goes with that. Why won't Labor adopt the plan that it took to the election? It promised the Australian people would put in place these tax changes, this tax reduction, and instead it's putting a tax increase on Australians over the longer term.
So the other option is that has been talked about in recent days is that you get behind these changes that the Labor Party have made, but also add changes or campaign on changes for those above $150,000 and take that to the next election and find savings elsewhere. Is that something that you're considering?
Well, as I said before, I'd like to see us implement the plan that was put to the Australian people and supported to the Australian people by the Australian people. That's what I'd like to see. Yeah. Now, obviously, we're going to have to assess where the budget's at after all this, what the economic conditions are leading up to the next election. But I definitely would like to see a tax system that doesn't punish middle-class Australians, middle Australia, with a marginal tax rate of one of the highest in the world, at 37 cents on the dollar. I mean, some tax systems over the world don't even have a top tax rate of 37 cents in the dollar. But we're applying that, or we have been applying that, to Australians on just moderate incomes. And I think we should be encouraging Australians to work harder, to better themselves, to provide for their own families. But taking more than a third of your income, more than a third of what you produce in a week, is just too much. I mean, most Australians now work all day Monday, all day Tuesday, even some of them, just for the government. And it's only Wednesday, it's only tomorrow that you start actually earning money for yourself. I think that's too much and too punishing for Australians. They're paying too much tax. This change, this announcement that government has announced last week, will increase the tax burden on Australians as bracket creep continues to do its work over the next decade. That's what we've got to solve for.
Matt Canavan, we'll leave it there. Talk to you soon.